baby. I know. You'll still hear all the good things about him. He's just the funnest one.
What have you read?
The most positive.
Yep, exactly.
Like a quicker, like you make a decision and then within the next year or two it's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, very true.
Yep.
Okay, we'll begin our city council meeting tonight. We appreciate it. We have a brand new city council woman here with us. We appreciate Karen being here. She was sworn in a few minutes ago, along with a renewed swearing in of Mike and myself. So we are ready to go. So we appreciate you all being here. We're very grateful for your attendance. It means a lot to us to have people who are interested in whatever issues it is that brings them here. And so we'll proceed. Now we have a kind of an agenda that we go through. And just to let you know is that we'll begin with an invocation and then a pledge. And then we'll have an approval of the meeting's agenda. And then we'll go to some comments that are going to be able to be made. So we'll go to that point. So we've asked Council Member Snelson if he'd give the invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to meet together as a community in this city council meeting. We ask for thy Spirit to be here with us. We're thankful for the opportunity to serve together. We're thankful for the good members of the community that we have that are willing to be here to provide input for the good of the community. We pray that we can keep thy Spirit here with us. We ask for help and strength as we try to improve our community and make things better for all. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I invite you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. I need approval for the meeting's agenda as was documented in the public document.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. We welcome any scouts who are here or any young people who are here. We had some of them originally and they raided our drawers for all the candy that we have. But if there's anybody who'd like to come sit on the rostrum with us, you're welcome to come up and raid the candy drawers. So you're welcome to do that. We have two calendar items that I just need to make the City Council aware of. On January 14th is a public meeting at 4 p.m. and we'll probably go till, I'm going to guess, 8 and 9 o'clock, yeah. And we invite everyone to come. We have a number of people who come usually when we're approving the budget, and that's usually when it's approved in just the last meeting in June, yeah. And so by then, the cake is kind of baked. So we just encourage you, if you have an interest in anything to do with the budget or any programs or circumstances, feel free to come to the budget meeting. It's a process. These are all open meetings. You're welcome to come and put your input into it. We have citizens who have interest in giving that sort of thing. When they come in June, things are pretty well done and we have to just kind of postpone it for the next year. So we just encourage anybody who wants to come and to have conversation with us and let us know kind of what your thoughts are. To be honest with you, it's a balanced budget. We have to balance that sort of thing. And so it's quite a process that we go through, but feel free to add anything that you'd like to do. And then on January 20th, we have a normal work meeting at 5:30 and then a regular meeting at 7 o'clock. So we have a number of people who would like to make comments. Let me just tell you the ground rules for the comments. Excuse me. Anybody from the city or the public can come and make comments to the City Council. It's not a dialogue, it's a statement from you. We ask that we're not going to make any comment back to you. It's not a back and forth or questions and answer, that sort of thing. So as you have an opportunity to make your statements, you're welcome to do that. We ask you, as well as ourselves, to be very respectful through the process. It's a very important part of it. I've done this for 4 years, and it's turned out to be a pretty good experience, and we're grateful for the input that citizens do give to us. I'm going to time it so that you have an opportunity to say what you'd like to. It could go on all night if we let some people give an oration on some of the things that they have. So we've limited it to 4 minutes. So I'm just going to give you a little sign, and in most cases, everybody's said what they wanted to do in the 4 minutes. And so we'll spend much time as you want. If all of you would like to take 4 minutes, you are welcome to do it. We need to have you fill out a form here. And the reason for the form is nothing more than so that we have your name and contact information for the record. It's for the minutes that we need to do that sort of thing. So, okay. Well, I'll just take these as they were handed to me. I've got an Amy Palethorpe. Is that right? Okay, you are welcome.
Hello, it's an honor to be here. My name is Amy Palethorpe, and I am a community advocate for the Ruth, representing the city of Springville. The Ruth is the new theater in Pleasant Grove. It's now been there a year. It took the place of the smaller, intimate Ruth theater that was in Orem. And now it's in a beautiful new facility. It has 2 theaters. I'm here in an effort to continue to elevate the arts in our city. The Ruth is wanting to spotlight each city. And Springville, they have chosen the week of February 23rd to the 28th. The 2 shows that will be playing during that time are Fiddler on the Roof and Forever Plaid. We have in this envelope that hasn't even been opened yet 6 VIP tickets for the mayor or members of the city council or other city employees, however you would like to distribute them, to come and see one of our shows. It's easy. You can book online, and there's a code on the ticket and very easy explanations of how to make that so. Along with that, we would like to invite all of the people who live in Springville to come during that week. Here's the advertising flyer. To also come and get a ticket for $5 off. Each time they enter the code, it will be good up to 6 seats. Now, this is going to be a little bit first come, first serve, and depending on availability, it may have to stop at any given point. But early bird gets the worm, so we'd like to get this advertised in any way that you feel is appropriate that members of Springville can attend. And our go-to person that we've been appointed is Patrick Money, who I've just met and sat next to. So I'll give him this information. Along with that, we have a person up at the Ruth named Don Alder, and he has offered to give guided private tours of behind the scenes. There are different venues, whether it's wanting to see the backstage or wanting to see up where all the keyboard is and how everything is handled with the dramatic effects and whatnot. So also our connection, Patrick Money, will be able to set up a time that would be best for you, and I have Don Alder's information, phone number, and email to make that all happen. It can be the same night as the event or a different time. So we would love to see you all at the Ruth. Can't wait to have new faces or returning faces, and I will just pass this information along. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Thank you very much. I was going to point you to Patrick, so that's very good that you got that information. So, yeah, very good. And I was raised in a large family, and so there may be a fist fight or a food fight. I'm not sure which. So, very good. Okay, the next person, if they're here, Rebecca Millard, concerning the Michael Ewing case.
I am Rebecca Millard, and I've been a resident here for 5 years. Have gotten to talk to a lot of you, and I just wanted to first express my gratitude for your work and my respect for doing the job that you do, because as you were saying at the swearing in, it's got to be so hard. So thank you for doing it. So I'm here tonight not to ask for a specific response today, but I just want to express a concern shared by many in our community regarding both the reported incident that occurred the day prior to the death of Michael Stanley Ewing and concerns about how the investigation into his death itself has been handled. I just wanted to give people a chance. If you're here in support of the Ewing family, would you just raise your hand? I just wanted to show that this does matter to this community. As you know, the Ewing family is deeply rooted in Springville. Michael was a longtime coach, mentor, and community member. He very likely coached some of your kids, or at least many of the kids that have been in this room before. When a family like this experiences such a profound loss, the way concerns are addressed matters not only to them, but to the community as a whole. What has been most troubling to many residents is the perceived lack of transparency and communication surrounding both the July 13 event and the investigation that followed Michael's death. Family members have shared that they've raised concerns early on, gathered additional information themselves, and continue to feel that key questions remain unanswered. Because of this, many in the community, including myself, believe that it is important that an independent review of this case is necessary to ensure that all the relevant information has been fully considered and that public confidence can be maintained. I want to be clear, this isn't about assigning blame. I've talked to the family over and over. That's not their point. It's about acknowledging how unanswered questions and limited communication can erode trust and deepen the pain of a grieving family. Please support an independent review to ensure justice is served. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Michael Anderson, chicken law rewording.
Thank you for allowing me this time to address the City Council. At the last City Council meeting, our police chief made a recommendation to the City Council to restrict the number of chickens to a flat 6 across all of the residential zones and across all lots of all sizes. And one of the things that he said as a reason for this was to simplify the chicken law to make it easier for officers to enforce this law. I would like to ask the City Council to not accept that recommendation from the police chief because the goal of law shouldn't be to sacrifice citizens' rights for the ease of law enforcement. Our country was built to defend the rights of citizens, and its founding documents are primarily concerned with restricting law enforcement and its abilities in defense of these rights. And so, and to be quite clear, the difficulty that the police chief had described is the difficulty in looking at the county plat map, which is available online and fairly easy to Google, and to check the size of the lot against the law before writing a citation. I feel like this is not overly burdensome for a police officer to do, to make sure that they know the law and that it has a size of lot a requirement in its application, and to look at the size of the lot on the official county registry before signing a citation. I understand that the police chief was responding to a quite taxing event on the day that he made that suggestion, which may have undercut his trust and confidence in his officers. But I don't think that the response should be to lower the bar for the officers in making enforcement easier at the expense of citizens' rights to use of their property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm just taking these as they were handed to me, so it seems a little mixed up. It's not, it's just haphazard, so. Marcus Case. Do I read it? I'll go ahead and read it. That's okay. Marcus Case is a Mapleton phone number. The topic I wish to address is I want to make sure that everything in the city's power is being done to find out the real people responsible for Michael Ewing's death. Mike was a great friend and a great man. The Ewing family has deep roots and connections in Springville. I love the Ewings and know many of you in the city do too. I just want to know what has been done and what else can be done to find out exactly what happened to Mike. What can we do to further the investigation and find real solid answers? I'm not happy with the ones that have been given. Mike deserves our best. Olin Sorby. Okay, yeah, Bellingham. Well, I'll just read what's on the paper, if that's okay, Mike. The need for an external city investigation into Michael Stanley Ewing's case, so we appreciate that. Charles Rose. Okay, is he here? He's not, okay. Let me just read this. Independent investigation of the death of Michael Ewing. I'm very concerned about how the investigation of the death of Michael Ewing was conducted. There are far too many unusual circumstances that did not seem to be fully investigated. I feel that the family deserves a full and complete investigation of all the related facts and circumstances surrounding this case. It appears that this can only be done by an independent investigation. There are too many questions surrounding how this case was handled. I served as a law enforcement officer for over 20 years and am not without some knowledge of how such investigations should be handled. Thank you for allowing me to inform you of my concerns. Taylor Rose Ewing. Okay. Okay. I assume she's not here. Is that right? The unusual death of Michael Stanley Ewing. Please get this case externally investigated. My father deserves truth and justice. I grew up in Springville, proud to call it my hometown, not proud of how Michael Stanley Ewing's case has been handled. Please let this case get the proper attention. Everyone should be able to rely on this, on their community, especially Springville. Stacy Pratt. Same, is that a town?
No, it's out of town, that's
From Kennewick. Okay. Let me, that's okay. I'll go ahead and read this. Oh, I should have read this before. I live in Kennewick, Washington, and so I'm not able to attend, but I wanted to make a comment and be heard and known. So let me just read this if I can. Justice for Michael, death of Michael Stanley Ewing. My cousin was Michael Stanley Ewing. He was 2 months older than me, and we were very close. His death on July 14th, 2025 was very suspicious. His marriage had issues, and many of them did cause the police to be involved. That alone should be enough to have his death be looked into more. I feel that his death hasn't been properly looked into. I am pleading with Springville City to recuse itself from any other involvement in the investigation of the death of Michael Stanley Ewing. The Ewings have been heavily involved in the community of Springville, Utah. They deserve better than what they have gotten. I feel many errors have been made in regard to the investigation and hope that we can truly do better for the Ewing family. The best way Springville City can do that is to allow for a proper investigation that doesn't involve Springville City. With the recent issues on the news regarding a Springville police officer, one that has been involved in previous domestic calls involving Michael, this department is not in a good position to handle this investigation. The Ewings deserve better, the community deserves better, and Michael and his kids deserve the answers they're searching for. They deserve transparency. Springville City, please recuse yourself. Miriam Tracy. Very good. Thank you for being here. One of your statements that printed, it was like half a font, and I would have to get a magnifying.
I was having
Did you see
trouble
that?
with that
Yeah,
form,
yeah.
so I
That's okay. It's all good.
put it in the body of my email as
There
well.
you go. It's all good.
But thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Miriam Tracy. I have been a longtime Utah resident, but only a Springville resident for about 3 years. But we're loving being here and grateful for this opportunity. I'm here tonight as a friend and supporter of Mike and Sharon Ewing. As you've noticed, there's kind of a theme. And also as a community member and a mom who cares deeply about transparency and public trust in our local institutions. The Ewings have been respectfully asking for clarity and accountability regarding the investigation of the death of their son, Michael Ewing. What brings many of us here tonight is not an accusation of wrongdoing, but a concern about whether established investigative procedures were consistently followed and whether unanswered questions are being met with transparency. Our concerns are grounded in documented gaps in investigative processes, including questions about evidence, review, clarification of agency roles, and how earlier investigations were later relied upon by the medical examiner when determining Michael Ewing's manner of death. When investigative steps appear incomplete or unclear, it affects not only one family, but the public confidence more broadly. Additional concerns arise when lawful public records requests are denied and potentially relevant evidence, such as available video surveillance from local businesses, has not been fully reviewed. These situations understandably erode trust, even when no misconduct is alleged. For these reasons, we respectfully ask the City Council to acknowledge these concerns on the public record and to assist in seeking city cooperation toward lawful record access, full evidence review, and an independent external review of procedures. This request is made in the spirit of transparency, fairness, and care for both the family and our community as a whole. There's additional documentation available, and we are happy to provide it to you at your convenience. Thank you for your time and letting us be here tonight.
Thank you very much. Natalie Marvin.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say that I love and support the Ewings, and I hope that they can get all of the answers and support that they deserve. And I do urge the city to do everything that they can to find them some answers. But I have to confess, I had already planned on attending this meeting just for a completely different reason. And as a busy mom of 2.5 kids, I would feel like I wasted the babysitting if I didn't bring up my point. I had some concerns about the intersection on Canyon Road near 620 South. I've met with Brad Stapley, and he's kind of talked me through all of the options that he felt that they could do, and I was excited to see, lights in the crosswalk, and I was a little bit disappointed when driving it recently to see that they're barely visible. The road is still very wide, and I think that we could do better for the students of Springville High School especially, and just make it a little bit more narrow and a lot more visible and slow things down a lot more. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you, Natalie. We are very grateful for those who have come to share their comments, and we do appreciate you coming here.
Mayor, while you're pondering, it looks like we have one more person that's interested in making
Okay.
a comment.
Sure, sure. If you want to do that, you are welcome to do that.
Would it make sense to go ahead and have them fill the form out after speaking, just for the sake of,
Yeah, well, let's, yeah.
and they don't feel pressured to fill out a document?
We
on
can, I'll stall for time while they quickly fill something out. I'll just make a statement so that you know. This is an open investigation, and I'll just leave it at that. If you have questions, because it's an open investigation, you're to contact John Penrod, who's the city attorney. You have opportunity to talk with him. He is the city attorney, and we are not open or privileged to be able to make comment as a city council privately or publicly about an open investigation. If we do, I probably would have a session with them that they've never had before, because that's just not our position. Our job is not to get in the middle of something that's under an investigation. So, but and the Ewings know this. I personally have a deep love for them. I have known the family for decades, and I love the Ewings, and they are truly wonderful people. And so I just encourage you that if you have questions, talk to John Penrod. And when the investigation is completed, it's gone through its course, what a blessing it is in a society that we live in, that we have the rule of law, and that we have the opportunity to be able to express our opinions about those laws and about circumstances. What a blessing it is to live in a country to do that. So anyway, okay, stalled long enough. Sharon.
Thank you. I'm just going to read a statement by Jalen Miyazaki, who is Michael's stepson. And we had debated on whether to do this or not, but I just feel strongly that it needs to be said. To whom it may concern, my name is Jalen Miyazaki. I am the stepson of Michael Ewing. Michael was my football coach at Springville High School, but that was the lowest of the titles he held. He was my role model, he was my mentor, he was a father, and he was my children's papa. I love Michael, I miss him, and my kids miss him. Since Michael's death, I know that Springville Police Department have not done a thorough job with the investigation. Though Michael loved the city of Springville and everything that came with this city, the city of Springville and the police department have not reciprocated that love in any way, shape, or form. Evidence has not been taken seriously. Significant time has been lost so that now we cannot recover videos and provide even more evidence of Michael's suspicious death. And it seems as if those that are working within the city were presented with a choice: what is right and what pays my bills. And their decision has been made clear. This case needs to be done and investigated by an external party, and we need to have a full external investigation. That way there's no conflict of interest in my stepfather's death and doing what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to say this wrong. Yeah. Tyra? Tira Orton.
So thank you. I am actually here in support of the Ewings. However, our little mom of 1.5 children has really spoke to me because I am a school bus driver here in the city, and that intersection does need something different. I drive through it 3 times a day, and it's just going this way is the stop sign. It needs to have either a 4-way stop or something because it's getting very hectic up there. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate, we'll kind of close the public comment section. We again appreciate you being here. We're very grateful for it. Again, I direct you, as you have questions or concerns, to talk to John Penrod. You are welcome to do that, and he will give you as much information as he legally can under the circumstances. And as things develop, you're welcome to talk to John Penrod, and as this thing develops and concludes or whatever it does, John can give you that updated information. So, and I appreciate your concern for the Ewings. Thank you. Okay, we'll enter for the consent agenda. You've had the chance to read the minutes from the strategic planning session on December 16th. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I will make that motion.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, very good. We'll enter a presentation by Troy Fitzgerald in regard to the Springville City Citizen Survey Report. So,
Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity. This is, at least for me, an exciting time to work through the citizen survey results. This is actually our 10th iteration of this particular survey. To my knowledge, there have been about 11 surveys in the history of Springville. It's something we do every other year and get just an incredible amount of information from our citizens to sort through and to look through and to help guide us in terms of what our performance has been and what citizens are interested in seeing change and be updated within the community. We'll encourage questions and comments as this goes through. One of the interesting things about surveys is it gives you accurate information, but it doesn't tell you the why. Why did people vote that way or respond to the survey in any particular manner? And so it's helpful to kind of look through it and to try and parse what is happening out there that causes the results that come. So the survey actually has, each time we do it, about 200,000 points of data. I mean, it's big and it's robust and it's widespread. The survey people, and I have to express appreciation to the BYU Sociology Department. We've had multiple professors work on this through the years. Currently, Dr. Michael Cope, another local family here at Springville Meet, the Cope family, is currently the lead person on collecting the data and information and providing it back to the city. They select 5,000 households randomly from our records. And they came back with an official sample size of 4,821. And some people refused to participate in the survey. They also had a number of mailers come back. And so the official sample size is 4,821. We received 1,021 responses. Their goal or target was to get over 1,000, so that was good. A response rate of 21.17, which is fantastic for surveys in the world we live in today. And this is a written 8-page survey that takes people probably an hour to respond to. So a confidence level of 95% and a margin error of plus or minus 2.9%. So a very accurate survey, gives us a lot of information to work on. There are a couple of interesting things I noted up front. 2 people born in 1929 responded to the survey, and 2 people born in 2005 responded. So you have this broad range of age and experience responding to the survey. 25% of the respondents lived in Springville for 5 years or less, and 25% lived for 30 to 94 years in Springville in terms of the response. It's not a perfect survey. Census says we have about 16% Hispanic population at this point. In our community, we only received 3.3% of the responses came from that community. So again, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to tell us exactly to a single number any given response or answer with regard to it. One of the first pieces that jumped out to me from kind of the informational part of the data was a dramatic drop in household size. The 2009 survey had 3.57 people in each household. That closely represented what census reported for household size. This version of the survey is 3.07. We're at well over 11,000 households now, but just think, I mean, 10,000 households at a half a person, that's a population differential of 5,000 people. in the same number of households within our community. So while we're seeing continued residential growth, our population growth has slowed significantly, and occasionally census is even saying it's declining as our household size is decreasing, and that's being reflected in our survey results as well.
But that's true throughout the country.
You know, absolutely. I mean, Utah still has one of the higher birth rates in the country, but across the board, population is decreasing and fertility is going down, and so that's something many communities are wrestling with.
Is there any information in relationship to age in a household? Did we find younger people or less younger people, or what?
Yeah, and that's actually, again, the survey is very robust, and if I click this, we also broke the community down into 12 neighborhoods, and there are enough households represented in each of these neighborhoods to get valid statistical data back as well. So we can cross-tabulate the survey results for education, for age, for how long they've lived here, for how many times they went to the library. You can cross any of those with regard to it. The results were received on the 30th of December. So in the last week, I haven't yet cross-tabulated all those, but our ability to examine the information and data is all there. And we look forward to doing that in the coming weeks. Overall quality of life in Springville. And one of the powerful things about doing the same survey over and over again is it gives us this fantastic longitudinal information over time. So you can see that for last several years, we had a significant increase in people's overall perception of quality of life. In the last couple of surveys, that's tailed down a little bit. You see a few less people on extremely good in that far right purple one, a little bit more in just average and a small uptick in poor. Still, the peak of that curve is still squarely in very good. So well over 80% of our citizens, closer to 90% of the citizens believe the quality of life in Springville is good, very good, or extremely good. And I'm going to try and go slow enough to let you absorb some of this along the way, because we're just getting started and there's so much information. And we can go back and forth and even go to anything within the survey that you're interested in. I am pleased with the overall direction the city has taken. Now this one I'm just showing 2019. Oh, that's in 21. I think that's actually 21, 23, and 25 at the bottom there. You see a slight drop off there on the agree, and a raise on the neither agree nor disagree, and also a raise on disagree. So there's still far more people that agree with the direction, but you're seeing kind of a change in attitudes. And what I found as I've looked through all of this data is you're kind of getting a polarization, and it's mirroring what we're seeing nationally, right? You're seeing less people in the middle and more people drifting to the edges. And so it'll be good for us to explore and understand why on some of this.
Troy, when I was going through this survey, I had a tough time wrapping my head around what neither agree nor disagree actually means.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of a cop-out point in the survey response. Is there something we can do different there so we can actually understand what that means?
Possibly, but that to understand what it means, maybe, and that's something I can explore with the survey people. But one of the interesting parts about this that I've learned through doing this and working with them, because of kind of the scholastic nature of this and having the college involved in it, they carefully construct both the questions and kind of what the responses are to get the most valid results, and then actually they send it to a national clearinghouse to review it to ensure that the questions are as unbiased as possible. So there very well could be a better or different way to do it, but this is one where kind of an independent group is putting it together with expertise and then sharing it with another group of expertise to ensure that you have the most accurate results as possible. So I think in some cases, neither agree nor disagree makes some sense. How strongly do you support or oppose something? In others, it may be a little bit more nebulous. And if you're looking at those results, several people just choose not to answer them as well. So you have to kind of go, am I going to look at the response percentage or the valid response percentage? How many, what percentage there? And most of the data you're going to see today is based off of the valid percentage. So people actually answered the question with regard to it. Here's a broader view of the same question, and you can kind of see since COVID a pretty marked switch in the community, a movement of 10 or 15% of the population from agree to that neither agree nor disagree nebulous answer with regard to it. So that's something I think we need to really kind of dig into and explore what's causing that. When we first saw that in 2021, there was a lot of feel, oh, that's COVID speaking, right? It's right in the midst of COVID. But now that we see that trend through a few more surveys, it's kind of interesting.
When I saw that question, when I was looking through it, I wondered if part of it was that there could be people who don't feel like they know enough about the direction of the city,
right,
in order to form an opinion.
Yeah, and I think there's a strong likelihood of some people answering that way, particularly when you look at things like providing services to seniors, right, that are fairly specific question that I really don't know. And so I neither agree nor disagree is a neutral answer on that. Yeah. Most elected officials care what people like me think. And this is most elected officials. It was not specific to local stuff, so it's again, you wonder how they're answering. And this again shows kind of this polarization. You see that agree has gone up in the last 3 surveys and strongly disagree has gone up in the last 3 surveys, right? So less people are on the fence and more people are kind of stating their opinions, if you will. Here, 50% of the respondents feel that elected officials care what they think about versus it looks like about 15 to 18%, maybe closer to 20% disagree with that. But you still have a lot of people sitting in the middle there. To what extent is this a problem? We asked a number of questions there. This one is focused on city taxes. And over the last 10 years, you can see a pretty marked change between kind of half your population, a little more than 65% is not a problem or a minor problem in 2015. Not a ton of people moving it to extreme problem, but definitely a lot of people moving to important problem on city taxes. And that's reflected in other questions out there that to me, you're really seeing the pinch of inflation and taxes and fees and how do I carry this weight of so many things, including high housing prices being reflected in this.
So Troy,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to minimize this, but do you think that city taxes is kind of lumped in with all taxes? Like property taxes have gone up so much, but the city's portion is so minuscule compared to Nebo School District. Do you think that we just got lumped in with everything else, or?
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. In fact, I think if I remember right, this graph here would say kind of the same thing. There's a lot going on in this graph, but this is the extent to which power rates are a problem. And I chose to go back to where this started because many of us that have been here a long time remember that power rates jumped dramatically in the early 2000s, and we were the highest cost residential power in the county at that time. And you can see that blue line just, way up there on major and extreme problem. And then you can see it rapidly come down as Springville got that under control and prices came back down to the norm. But here, most of us, certainly if we're paying attention to the news as we do on certain things here, Rocky Mountain Power's made a ton of noise in the last year about increasing power rates across the state. So it's certainly possible that some people are lumping us in with the Rocky Mountain and their power rate increases, as you see in the last couple of years a significant increase on the perception of our power rates. But the documentation would show that our power rates are the cheapest in the county currently for residents. Yet people are saying either as a result of increased inflation and or other news cycles out there that this is becoming a bigger problem for the community. So I tend to agree with your statement there, Mayor. I receive good value for the city taxes I pay. So this one is city taxes if they identify it that way. There has been a little bit of a drop between the last two surveys, but still more than half of our citizens would indicate that they get a good value for what they pay. Again, right here you see the neither agree nor disagree are in the same place. So you had really 7% of people, 6-7% flip from agree to disagree in this particular case. There's a series of questions saying, is the city council taking adequate measures to do whatever? So are you taking adequate measures to provide recreation opportunities to the citizens? And what I've done on this page is put those where the citizens are strongly telling the city council that yes, you're taking adequate measures. So to provide recreational opportunities, prepare for emergencies, protect quality of life, maintain public infrastructure, control graffiti, and protect the environments moving towards the middle there, although kind of in a 4-to-1 ratio, people agree over disagree with that. Any questions on this one, since there's a lot of information before we look at where maybe you're not taking adequate measures in the perception of the citizens? Okay. The other end, reduce drug activity, provide services to the disabled, and provide good planning, all have strong numbers, more on agree than disagree, and you have a lot more people in the middle. And then below that line there is where the citizens are saying we disagree more than we agree on reducing speeding in neighborhoods, encouraging new businesses, reducing traffic congestion, and revitalizing older neighborhoods. Traffic congestion, you'll see kind of over and over again as a theme throughout the survey. That's one of the biggest, if not the biggest concern. Okay. Here's the traffic congestion specifically, and the numbers at the bottom here are correct, and so I didn't put a gap in there, but that first one's clear back in 2009. The next one's 2019, and then 2025, just so you get a feel for movement over a little bit longer period of time. So you see a big movement from 2009. Most of our citizens agreed that we were doing what needed to happen for reducing traffic congestion, and then a shift over time the other direction. Okay.
It's all Brad's fault.
Yeah. Brad has all of his people jump in cars and just drive around all day. That's what he does. The volume of traffic in your neighborhood, this one's been a surprise. This one has stayed down for quite a long time, but now people are starting to feel it a little more in their neighborhoods as well. You still have a strong number of people, well over 50%, that think that it's good to extremely good. But you're seeing big movement away from just average and into the poor ratio. So again, we'll go back and do some cross-tabulation into neighborhoods and be able to find out which neighborhoods this is happening in and be able to target what we're doing to specific areas of the city that are being affected by this. So maybe something in the northeast corner, their neighborhood character hasn't changed very much and they're still feeling pretty good about it, but maybe over here or over here, something's different. We'll be able to track that down. Extent a problem on Main Street. Again, note the different dates at the bottom, but not a problem or a minor problem, 15 years ago, and now a much stronger feelings of important, major, and extreme problem to our citizens. So traffic is definitely an issue that we want to look at. And that's a challenge for us because what are all of our main streets?
State
owned by UDOT, right? They're UDOT roads, and so there's some things we can do, and we can certainly encourage UDOT to make changes, but you can't just simply allocate some resources and go fix many of the issues dealing with our main street.
We don't have any questions in the survey about traffic options, expanding traffic options or transportation options, do we?
Not that specifically, but you'll see something at the end in terms of some of the open comments with regard to it. Often in the survey, we'll pinpoint a few things. We'll use a couple of questions. In the past, we've done things on, kind of funding for recreation centers and different things like that. So in a future survey, we could do that. We've also encouraged and trained all of our supervisors in the last year on a variety of methods to gather that information. So I'd strongly encourage, for example, in this case, Public Works, to utilize a number of different tools we've been training on to gather some of that information, focus group surveys and other things that could help us find that out in much more detail.
Because I wonder, when we're looking at these and people are saying, hey, this is a major problem, go fix it, I wonder if people have opinions about how they would like to see it fixed.
Right, exactly. And that's what we need to go find out. But this points us to go use the time and efforts we have in the best possible way. Okay, we're going to move to services now. And
Sorry, Troy, I had a
yeah,
question.
yeah, please.
Was there any context either on this question or just prior to it that would define what main streets are, so that we know that they weren't reading it as just Main Street
Yeah.
versus all the streets?
No, although again, and I'm jumping ahead having looked at it, in the responses, the open-ended responses, the most common streets called out were Main Street and 400 South. So, there. We'll take a look at and kind of dive down pretty deeply into city services, but this was a new and different way I haven't used before of presenting how the citizens responded to the overall quality of city services. And what I've done is extrapolated the responses to registered voters. So we've used kind of adult registered voters as, and we have just over 18,000 of those in the community, to how many people would answer this way if the survey was exactly correct. So you understand what's happening there. If we use the percentages found in the survey and extrapolated them to registered voters, 1,109 citizens would say we have extremely good services in Springville. Does that make sense? So you can kind of just look down there and say, oh, well, those that say poor, very poor, or extremely poor, they're only 800 or less than 800 of those versus 1,100 that say our services are extremely good. 7,509 would say very good, another 6,000 good, only 2,800 just average. So that's the overall view of the services. You can see kind of how far to the good side of things people are responding with regard to that. I'm going to hand you a chart, and I've got lots of copies, but probably not enough for everyone here to look through. But it's always been difficult for me to convey, when you look at these numbers, how much movement there needs to be out there for a change in the charts I'm about to show you. And the website went up by 0.11, right? Between 2023 and 2025. And if I use the same methodology and extrapolate them out, you're looking at the number of citizens that would need to answer each of those to make that 0.1 movement. And what you see is over 1,000 citizens would have to improve their view in order to get that 0.1 movement. So when I hand you this and you see people that are going up 0.05, if you kind of go, well, maybe that doesn't mean anything. Well, but it does mean that 500 of our households have a better opinion than they did 2 years ago, or a worse opinion, because you'll see that they go up and down. Does that make sense, what I'm explaining there? All right. Our top rated service this year was the Art Museum, and this would be the same chart for the Art Museum.
Troy?
Yeah.
Emily is back there just itching to get up and cheer.
Yeah, she probably
I mean, she's
should.
back there shaking her hands. She just wants to get up and dance on her chair.
Dan is not, because Dan just got dethroned for the first time in several years. Although I'll say, and you'll see it's very, very close here with regard to it. And one of the challenges we've talked about internally is just how difficult it is to make movements for our top performing services, because they're getting such good grades already that it's just so hard to move up anymore. But you're going to see some stuff there. And I don't know if this will make any sense, but I overlaid the overall city services, which are squarely in the good, approaching very good, and how many thousands that are there. But you see this just humongous number of additional citizens that mark the museum is extremely good versus good or very good, and they still can't quite break that 6th level with regard to it. So let me hand this, or maybe John, I could get you to give this to the mayor and city council, and then feel free to just send the rest around the room. There's a ton of information on this, and I'm going to pause and let you absorb it and see what questions you have with regard to this. So hopefully stick with me, and just so I can identify everything going on in this, and then you can absorb it for a minute. We have several of the last surveys. I already told you there's more. They just don't fit on the sheet. So if you look at Art Museum across the top there, in 2013, they scored a 5.73. Good is a 5, very good is a 6 with regard to that. And then the green and red is, did they just go up or down from 2 years before? If there's no color, it means they stayed the same. The most recent is the 2025 rating. And, yeah, I tried to help out, but I probably should have shaded this way or that way and really confused everything. This survey is really unusual. If you just scan down the 2025, 55% of the services went up. That means 45% of the services went down. You can see that normally the collective tide is either going up or down, and it's rare that you get a split opinion. The other thing is when you look down the 2-year change, you're seeing some 0.2s and some 0.3s, both up and down. And those are just gigantic moves that we rarely see on the survey. So directors back there are making a big difference somehow to get those results. And then I also wanted to highlight there at the very bottom, I mean, we only have two services of these 36 services that are being surveyed that are average. All the rest are above average, right? They're all receiving a good or very good score on average. So even though there's some red on here, the services being received are pretty extraordinary from the people you're seeing at the back of the room. So now I'll be quiet, let you absorb that for a minute, and then any questions you have, happy to take.
Remind me, what was the timeline that this survey was open?
Roughly early September, probably they were still receiving stuff into November.
Oh, okay.
So they did they did 2 mailings of the actual survey and 2 follow-up postcards with anyone that did not respond to the survey. So with about 2 weeks gap in between each of those.
The reason I ask is I'm just noticing like condition of street surface, objectively compared with some of our neighboring cities, our streets have a higher Pazer value. And we also repaved a lot of streets this last year before the survey even opened, and yet it seems to be down.
Yeah, and there's interesting, I mean, one on there, flood control, for example, 2/3 of the way down. It's interesting how quick people forget. We saw a massive increase after the floods 2 years ago in how the city handled it. 2 years go by with no flooding, and we don't know how you do on flood control, right? I mean, it's interesting where some of these are, but it's also interesting kind of how responsive people are. And I'll show you one on internet here in a few minutes that people do get it overall. But remember, it's also a perception survey.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how many of us wander through Provo and Spanish Fork with the intent of, I wonder how the roads are kind of thing.
Right.
Not all of us do that.
Well, and snow removal, at the time that this was taken, it went down, and we hadn't had snow in quite
Our
some
snow
time.
removal has been perfect this year.
Yeah.
I know, I was going to say.
Not only this year, but last year as well.
The mayor and I were just noticing walking and biking paths being up 0.23 is interesting too, because it's not like we've really added a whole lot, though we have done some improvements along like the Dry Creek Trail.
Yeah, exactly.
And you do have a big bike park too.
Yeah, true.
Thought about that, is
So
it?
part of that
Yeah.
perception.
And we'll be talking about this as directors tomorrow, see if we can figure some of these out for sure. We haven't had a chance to talk about them. Any other questions on this or concerns? Yeah.
Maybe I'm taking the next step. What does the city, because all this information is really good, what do we do with it? I mean, do we sit down with an Emily or a Stacy or a Brad and say, you know what, here's what the citizens are saying, what is it that we can do internally to change either the perception or to do some things of allocation dollars to more actively address some of the concerns? Where do you go from here?
Yeah, 7% more to the museum, you know, that's where you just go down the list. No, we do talk about it. In fact, one of the sections of the survey that you will not see tonight is an extensive interaction with the citizens on priorities for the spending of additional funds if they exist. And then we'll be talking about that in the budget retreat. Where do the citizens want to see dollars be allocated to? We do have a broad range of how people handle it, but several of our directors go into as much or more detail as I do, trying to understand what's happening here. I'm very confident, having watched it year after year after year, that we try and address the issues that the citizens have. I think there'll be some interesting discussion when we get to that here in a couple of slides about where things are. And given the conversation we've had previously, Mayor, on basically the same subject, this will be a big priority of our discussion tomorrow of kind of what does this mean and how do we handle it. And it would also say, I mean, Dan, for example, was pinging me at the end of the month, anxious to see these results because he's been using them as one example within his department to try and hit some milestones over time. So we'll be able to show you that on maybe even the next slide. Other questions on this one? Okay. So here is that next slide. It's quality of service received. So this is actually when I come to a counter or interact with an employee, how am I treated? How do I feel? You see that green line on the library. Literally, this is the first survey result we have, I believe, that we've scored a 6, right? So the average is above very good for how people feel they're served when they come to the library. And the rest of them they're no slouches there. I mean, they're all excellent reports about how we're doing in terms of customer service at our various contact points with our service. But this was very exciting news to see that we've hit one of kind of the mythical target levels, and it's something that they've been focused on for a long time. Let's talk public safety for a second. Public safety, and again, we got to dive into some neighborhood numbers and other things, but actually very flat over the past 6 years, generally speaking, with regard to the numbers statistically. Our community feels, and we have more data, again, we're just touching on the data, there's walking alone in parks, it's walking at downtown and so forth, but here's walking alone in the neighborhood. Again, our citizens feel very, very safe. Not to discount, there are about 10% that do feel unsafe walking in their neighborhood, but just a substantial number of people feeling safe in their neighborhoods. And then here's property crime and violent crime. Property crime, again, you see actual pretty good movement to the very safe side, but also some growth on the very unsafe side. So less people in the middle, but overall property crime is actually less safe than violent crime. And that shouldn't be a huge surprise. We do see more property crime than we see violent crime. But kind of that peak of the curve is between safe and very safe on property crime, and then squarely on the very safe on the violent crime side.
Do we have any geographical clusters on these answers?
Yes, we do,
Like
and we got to go
strongly
run
representing. Okay.
Yeah, so we can do the same thing here on neighborhoods and a variety of different factors. Yeah, and we can do some of that work as well with our GIS system that's completely separate from the surveying, but kind of looking where crime is occurring and do analysis that way as well.
Yeah, that sounds helpful.
Okay. There's a bunch of information in there on supporting or opposing things. This is one that's probably one of the higher ones the citizens are sending a message on. 56% of citizens would support financial incentives to attract new types of retail business to the community. Only 15% oppose. So a strong message from the citizens there about some of the economic development information we've been discussing. Access to high-speed internet. Here's a great one to show how responsive the survey is. You look back, and I don't have the years on here, unfortunately, but it's the last 4 surveys. You can see kind of 6 to 8 years ago that poor and just average were pretty common. And then with Google Fiber coming to town and competition happening with the other providers, just a giant jump in very good and extremely good service in the last 2 surveys as that project's been getting closer to completion. Access to shopping opportunities. It's been an interesting one over time, and again, kind of disperse attitudes of the citizens. You see just average as kind of the peak of the bell curve there. But over the last few years, you see a lot of growth in very good and extremely good, and kind of a flat on extremely poor and very poor. So some improvement there, but more work to be done. This, to me, is probably one of the more interesting ones, and one that we haven't done before in this way. There are several open-ended questions where citizens can write whatever they want. And I would encourage you to take time to kind of scan through those. But I dropped all 1,000 plus answers to 2 of the questions into AI and said, tell me what's in there. And it came back with the top themes for these 2 questions. And I'd just be really interested in your feedback after you see these. So what do you like most about living in Springville? What do you think the citizens said? What do you like most about living in Springville?
Small town feel.
Downtown feel or
Small
town
town.
feel?
Great access to recreation.
Yeah, okay. So if we were playing Family Feud, number 1 answer. Small town feel and atmosphere is the number 1 answer in those 1,000 responses. Sense of community and friendly people. And yours is coming up. Quiet, peaceful neighborhoods. Safety and security. Arts and culture. Parks, library, Clyde Rec Center. Access to mountains and Hobble Creek Canyon. Cleanliness and convenient location. And maybe one more. Nope, that's it. So, good list. Agree with the citizens.
You know, it occurs to me that all of those succeeding answers feed back to the small town feel and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Have we ever considered adding an open-ended question to the survey? Please define small town feel. Because people use it for a lot of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Other comments?
Yeah, and I just look at all those and I think to myself, that's just all under the heading of quality of life, really.
Yeah. Okay.
And it is perception, people perceiving that I have access to the mountains and Hobble Creek Canyon, whatever. So
I think it's was it 2 slides ago where they wanted more retail, and then they want to keep the small town feel though overall. And so you just like, okay, well, more retail as in what? More smaller shops or more? I don't know what they mean by retail, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Based
and
off of
even
this.
like access to shopping opportunities. I mean, is that because I can drive to Spanish Fork or Provo, or is it I want it here in
That's
in
what I was
Springville?
thinking.
And there's so much in here. There are a whole bunch of slides that I'm like, I'm not going to put them in there. But it's really interesting when you get, 30, 30, 30 in your answers. I agree, I disagree, and in the middle, you're like, oh, wow, what do we do with that? Because we're going to make 2/3 of the people mad no matter what we do, kind of thing. So it's hard that way. All right, the more interesting one, and this is pretty fascinating if you think through the budget meetings we've already been having with regard to this. What is one thing that would make Springville a better place to live?
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's did
Was
not
it on the
make
list?
it as at least as Trader Joe's. It may have been in there. We should go search that and see. Fix traffic congestion. Main Street and 400 South, that's where that information came from. Revitalize the downtown in the Allens Block. More shopping, restaurants, and family entertainment. Better code enforcement. Have we talked about that at all? Yeah, I think so. Junk, weeds, and property upkeep. And there are several questions too. Again, these are the open-ended responses, but we asked questions about that. Well, in fact, trash and weed control is your bottom service, the very bottom service here.
And it's consistently gone down.
Consistently gone down and consistently been at the bottom.
Yep.
So to me, if you look at kind of that longitudinal, like over time, the two loudest complaints that I would say that we have not done a good job at addressing is traffic congestion and code enforcement. Those are ones that have repeatedly been on the list that we haven't been able to get substantial movement on. Sidewalks, bike paths, and walkability improvements. So not specific as to what those are, Councilmember Millsap, but certainly had enough citizens making those kind of comments for it to pop out of that kind of search. And incidentally, I mean, in terms of what I was doing on those themes, I was also looking at kind of those word bubbles and graphs you see. So I was looking heavily at specific words actually while we were working on this. Manage growth.
The sidewalks, bike paths, and walkability improvements certainly would, if we could improve that, would make Springville a better place to live. But I think that's interesting in looking at the walking and bike paths on this printed chart that you gave us, which is very high.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly we can make improvements for sure.
Right.
But I just think it's interesting that it's so high on the chart and it's listed on this.
Yeah, and it, again, so you can cross-tabulate anything. So we could cross-tabulate how people answered that particular question versus another question dealing kind of with quality of trails or whatever to see where that disparity is. There could be some people that may not live close to a trail, right, that don't think as highly of it, that want them in their neighborhood. Managing growth, improving parks, and dog parks haven't gone away. So I mean, I copied these word for word. There's no editorial license on my part here. And then lower utility costs and taxes. So again, a feeling of that bite of increased costs that we're all experiencing. So that's a first blush at the survey. We'll have more next week, again with a focus on where to prioritize spending and budgeting. But I mean, I have the code book here. If you had specific questions from your own perusal, we can pull them up. Is there anything I missed that you'd like to hear more? Because you'll see me again in a week. So questions, comments, thoughts?
I would be interested next week in kind of the department heads, their thoughts on it, kind of their direction. I know that's pretty short, but just kind of their reaction to some of the ones that they've got responsibility for. Emily will probably have a hard time getting through the door because sorry, I have to keep on you, and Dan will be right behind her. Yeah, with a pin. But I think it would be good for us to be able to hear, okay, I have this has been trending downward. We see now with some additional, maybe fine tuning, that this is what it's trying to tell us. I think we need to be doing some things, and here's just a thought or two that we need to incorporate in the budget process. So.
Yeah, I like that.
Can you go back to the art museum slide, your cool birthday cake looking one?
That's got a birthday cake.
So what do you think those numbers are on poor, very poor, and extremely poor?
1.
What's that?
Is that like a 1 and a 2? Or what it?
I get it. You mean like how many?
Yeah.
It's we could look it up in the code book, but it's going to be like 0.1% and 0.7%. And I think if I get this one out of the way, the extrapolated number is 91 for extremely poor, 18, and 73. So if we did 73 divided by 18,170, you'd get the percentage, but it's also in the code book. So maybe somebody could flip that open in the code book and tell us, but it's very small. I mean, you're going to have, having seen some of the survey responses, you have some people that'll just be like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and some people 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, regardless of the question. And you're going to have, I mean, when I moved to Springville 30 plus years ago, there was kind of a pro and anti-art and pro and anti-power kind of discussions going on in the city. So, you know, my family knows that if we do something great down here, only about 13,000 people hate me. Because if we do something perfectly, you still have about a third of the people that are not happy with that response.
And I'm not trying to focus on that. It just blows me away that there's even
Yeah.
extremely poor like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and I wonder, do those people ever even go to the art museum and experience some of the programs and incredible things that happen there?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I haven't done the cross tabulation for this yet, but one I've remembered for many years is the golf course is one of our top rated service. It's just extraordinary. It's got a very close chart to this one. I ran it against people that actually golf, right? Okay, so now I want to know the ones that are actually going to the golf course. Do they like it?
Yeah.
They were even farther to the good. And you're like, oh, that's great. And so you're saying, well, that's where the perception's coming from. So if we go look at who's going to the museum, you probably have that all drop off. It'd be interesting to say, well, if you've never been to the museum, what did you vote? And that's probably those people that have never even seen it.
Cool.
Or they just don't like art.
Any other comments for Troy?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Feel free to call with your questions, send an email. We're happy to do some analysis on any of this.
Yep, and again, I just encourage that we use this for the betterment, not just, oh, this is good information, but we actually use it to help ourselves, so. Okay, anything else that we need to review at all?
Yes.
Okay, Mike?
We're in need of a new council photograph.
Oh,
Yes.
we are.
We are.
That does.
Karen made that happen.
Okay,
Thank you for not photoshopping my face on his body.
Well, I could do that.
yes, you can. Thank you.
So, do we want to schedule that now, or do you want to do it later? I would recommend 4:30 in 2 weeks,
Like right before the meeting on the 20th?
right before the meeting on the 20th, yes.
That'd be wonderful. You will need to Photoshop me in then.
We've also done it before the budget meeting too, although that usually means you have to dress up a little nicer. So we could do it next week, depending on your schedule.
Yeah, I'd rather do it on the 20th.
I won't be in town, so.
Oh, well then, that's perfect.
Yes, it is. Like I say, you can Photoshop me in.
Well, we could,
Do it on
the
the
budget
3rd.
meeting starts at 4.
Yes, and we can make adjustments if 4 works. We just start at 4:30, for example. I mean, we can.
No, we can do it if everybody's okay with 3:30.
Sure.
I'm already gonna be
Stressed.
trying to get there right at 4.
Well, then let's just move it to a different time.
Let's just do it on the 2nd of January or February. 3rd of February, yeah.
That works.
It's way better for me too.
Like at 4
In the
o'clock.
meantime, can we Photoshop Karen's face?
I was going to say, and instead of Mike doing it, we'll have Kim do it, so it'll be awesome. Yeah.
Did you
Just
say
show you-
4:30?
4:30 on the 3rd.
Okay.
To show you how playful Mike is, the last time he put hair on the top of my head, I was really offended. Okay, very good. 4:30 it is. Anything else we need to talk about? Very good. I need a motion for adjournment then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Thank you for being here. Thank you.